Hello and welcome to Boxingnews TV, our weekly talk show that takes in the latest news and talking points in the sport. I'm Boxingnews editor Tris Dixon, and joining me today is managing editor Daniel Herbert and reporter John Dennon. So without further ado guys, let's get underway. Daniel, you were at the show in Manchester last weekend at the Velodrome, Scott Quigg and Wendell Munro. Unfortunately, and pardon the pun, it was cut short. I mean, how was the fight going?
Well, it barely got going at all, Tris. It's a shame because a big fight finally came along for British fans, and it gets cut short in 3 rounds with nothing really decided one way or the other. I thought Munro had a really good first round. Quigg came back in the second round. The fight could have taken off, and who knows what could have happened. Anything could have happened from there on in, but after that head clash and the cut, everybody was left disappointed. It's so frustrating.
From ringside, could you tell how bad the cut was straight away?
Oh yes, you can see the blood sort of spurt away from his face. It didn't even trickle down the cheek like it normally does with a cut. It sort of exploded out of his eye, really. It's just horrible to watch. And you knew straight away the fight had to be called off. There's no way it could have gone on from there.
Yeah, you've been covering the sport for the best part of 25 years. Have you seen many worse cuts than that?
It's hard to think of one, no.
Yeah. Okay, John, you watched on TV. What did you make of the fight, and how disappointed were you with the conclusion?
Yeah, I mean, it was shaping up really well. Not only was it a hyped fight that everyone was looking forward to, the fact that Munro won the first round, Quigg was looking good in the second round. It was looking like a fight that was going to live up to the hype. Admittedly, it's hard to read much into so short a fight, but just a real shame it didn't happen. And the worrying thing is that we'd all like to see a rematch, but what TV channel would that be broadcast on? The two boxers are with Ricky Hatton's promotional company. Where does their future lie? Yeah, that's the concern.
Yeah, no, I spoke to people in the Hatton camp yesterday, and they're very keen to put it on. But like you say, it needs a proper televised platform for a fight of that magnitude, surely. So on the undercard, Dan, there was Ryan Rhodes who fought against Sergey Rabchenko. It was a sort of 50-50 fight going into it because Rhodes had a lot more experience and Rabchenko hadn't faced anyone like Ryan or with Ryan's experience. What did you make of the fight, and is Rabchenko a possible future star?
He looks a good fighter. I mean, he's trained by Ricky Hatton, who's been to the top himself as a world champion and hasn't had much experience in training, but obviously he's doing a pretty good job so far with Rabchenko. It was a pretty evenish fight. I had Ryan Rhodes slightly ahead, but it's one of those fights where even if he was winning the rounds, all the rounds were competitive, and Rabchenko was right in there. And still had another 5 rounds to go after the 7th round ending. I mean, and anything could have happened in those remaining rounds. Rabchenko is a younger fighter by 9 years. He could have lasted the pace better, but then he took all that away with one superb left hook to the body that just ended the fight there and then. And the way Rose went down in total agony, again, you knew he wasn't going to go on from that. Even though he got up, the referee stopped it, which was fair enough.
He did well to actually beat the count, didn't he, and get to stand up because the shot was so bad that he actually took a knee again after.
He went back down. It's one of those where probably even Ryan knew he couldn't go on. When a fighter gets winded like that, you really can't come back from it. If you get hurt from a headshot, sometimes you can stay on the ropes and cover up and let your head clear. But with a body shot, you just can't do that. Once you're gone, you're totally gone. It takes several minutes to get your breath back.
John, what did you make of Rabchenko? Impressed?
Very much so. I was really surprised because obviously he's never fought anyone like Ryan Rhodes. You didn't know how he was going to cope at that level, and I was really surprised with how he stuck to a game plan and looked so efficient and strong in there. So it seems like he is a bright future.
I was really surprised because it was one of those where I was fortunate to be watching on TV because I missed it the first time. I missed the shot the first time. It's only when you see it in the replay that you could see that really caught right up beneath the solar plexus, which, like you say, Dan, when your breath's taken away from you like that, there's just nothing you can do. What next for Ryan Rhodes then?
Well, he was a bit non-committal about his future afterwards. He wouldn't say he's definitely quitting or definitely going on, but it sort of hints at the fact that he'd probably come back and have one more fight in a few months' time and see where he goes from there. But the problem for Ryan is he's been to the top of the mountain now. He's fought for a world title against a big star in Alvarez over in Mexico. He's held the European title, British titles. Would he want to drop down to British title level or eliminator level and box the smaller purses? I mean, you'd have to train just as hard, train for 3 months and then have maybe a smaller purse for a British title fight. He's probably good enough to win the title off Brian Rose, possibly, but would he want to drop down that far having been to the top.
Do you think he'd have the motivation to fight the likes of Brian Rose and Sam Webb, good fighters, but obviously a very different kettle of fish to people like Sal Alvarez and so forth?
I mean, it seems hard for any boxer to call it a day, and certainly Brian Rose was not out of the fight until the knockout shot came. But it is, as Dan says, a big step down from the exalted level he's been boxing at throughout his long career, and it's you know, it would be hard to see him matching the same level of motivation for those kind of fights.
I think with Rhodes, he's shown in the past, you know, when he went back to British title level in the first place and fought the likes of Gary Walcombe and won a title again so many years after having it in the first place, I think it shows that's a good formula. You know, if he is going to continue, it is probably best to go down to those levels and then try and work his way back up. But you know, if Rabchenko's the European titleist, you know, how high up can he feasibly go? It's going to be interesting to find out.
Sure, because people like Brian Rose and Sam Webb, they're at least known quantities to Rhodes, and he knows what they can do or what they can't do. With a fighter like Rabchenko, who comes from Eastern Europe, has an unbeaten record, which looks good on paper, but you never really know how good or bad he is until you actually fight him. And of course, Rhodes found out he is a good fighter. Okay,
so you can read Daniel's ringside report in this week's magazine, available from newsstands on Thursday, or to download from our website at www.boxingnewsonline.net/apps. Also in the magazine this week, we have, for the first time in our history, the Power List, which encompasses the most influential people in boxing.